Hello everybody and welcome to the Genesis Gaming's first Creators Cup. My name is MaeveODork and I am here with 2018 World Champion Paul Ruiz. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, Maeve. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm so honored to be here today and hope to give you everyone a good content today for you guys.
Yeah, today we've got eight really interesting VGC content creators who have been prepping for this tournament. We've got Azulite Poke, Pikaplays, THATSAplusONE, MasterMark VGC, ElleBelleChan, Moxie Boosted, PkmnVeteranCJ, and Shoeboy. So a lot of really interesting names there. I know a lot of them have been making content for a very long time, so I am excited to see what they're bringing.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see what they bring. Like, as you may know, Series 9 rules just began on May 1st, and we're almost a month with those rules. And even though they are the same as the Series 7 rules, I'm excited to see what kind of new strategies players bring to this new era with the Series 9 rules, and of course in this tournament. So let's see what these players bring today. We have representation from Australia and the US. And that's always going to be something important to mention. We want, as the casters, to bring you guys the best possible and that you enjoy this content. And you can see there on your screen, we have team preview. This is the first round, Maeve.
This is from CJ's perspective, PkmnVeteranCJ. He's playing against Shui. CJ immediately got his picks in, so it's a little too hard for me to give you that rundown of the team right away. But we did see that he is bringing a pretty hardy team with that Celesteela in the back. So I know that this will be a team that he's probably going to try and defensive wall what he's coming up against here against Shoeboy.
Yeah, he has a Clefairy, Celesteela. He also has a Landers. He has a Cinderace. And his opponent also had a combination of Rotom, Heat, Grimmsnarl, Metagross. And we actually see Metagross and Grimmsnarl there facing against Raichu and Celesteela from CJ's perspective.
Yeah, so I'm definitely expecting possibly some sort of screens here, maybe from that Grimmsnarl, trying to protect that Metagross up in the very beginning. But interesting choice, I think, bringing that Raichu. I know I didn't see anything possibly throwing out any lightning type moves here, so I am interested to see if it goes for something any sort of paralysis, like a Nuzzle or something here too.
Yeah, Raichu is a very interesting Pokemon. It has offensive support. It is there to protect Celesteela from electric-type moves, and there is an electric-type Pokemon on the opponent's team, the Rotom Heat. But besides that, Raichu can do, as you said, put some paralysis here and there, pressure with Fake Out, and even as we saw, the Celesteela had a weakness policy, so Raichu can probably just side Volt Switch at some point to proc that weakness policy.
And speaking of that Celesteela, CJ here starts with a very early turn 1 Dynamax of that Celesteela, getting that wall up really early, putting a lot of offensive pressure on early in this game, while we also get Shoeboy also going for his own Dynamax here. We are going to have to see what it is. I'm assuming it's that Metagross. I would be a little surprised if it was a Grimmsnarl turn 1, which it is. So that Metagross also coming. 2 big steel walls, Dynamax first turn.
Yeah, Metagross against Celesteela. I'm interested to see what kind of move that Grimmsnarl is going for. We know Grimmsnarl sometimes can carry fake tears, but in this case, there's no sense to go for a fake tear since Metagross is a physical attacker. We see the Fake Out coming, and let's see what the Celesteela goes for.
Yeah, Celesteela gets that max Steel Spike off into that Grimmsnarl, who had already taken a little bit of chip damage from that Fake Out, so it's not going to be able to do anything to support the Metagross this turn. Raichu and Celesteela both getting that defense boost from that max Steel Spike as well. So I feel like this definitely puts a tougher position on for that Metagross because it's not going to have any of that support, while also getting the special attack boost from that Beast Boost KO very first round. And then we also get the max ground type move into Raichu, getting it down to its Focus Sash.
Yes, and something interesting to mention also that Celesteela moved first. Celesteela is a Pokemon that its base speed is actually lower than Metagross, and Metagross is a base 70 Pokemon, but normally Metagross is not trained like max speed. Celesteela, you have to imagine that next to a Raichu, it's probably trained offensively to have the advantage in going for max airstreams and weakness policy activations with his partner. And it moved first. Metagross is a Pokemon that normally does not carry anything to touch Celesteela. Probably something like a Max Lion could be its only option, but with Raichu there, it is impossible to touch with the Lightning Rod ability.
Yeah, Landers comes in here for Shui, getting that Intimidate off onto both of these Pokemon, while Raichu looks like it's going to be using that last little piece of HP to maybe go for that side Volt Switch, like you said, proc that weakness policy here onto this Celesteela, trying to get as many boosts as it can right up in this first turn, considering it's already stacked up a couple.
Yep, Landers is here. I'm curious to see what Landers is gonna do. Probably there's the bolt switch, as you were saying. Probably Metagross is also holding a weakness policy. You would have to imagine Landers can just like Earthquake here to self-proc if he wants to, I guess. But he can also go for like a Rock Slide or even a Fly, trying to like hope that the Celesteela attacks that slot, and you can at least like win a turn by wasting that max move into that slot.
Yeah, and that Raichu goes back from that full switch. Gonna stay in the back. Now it's just deciding between which of these two it wants to send in, whether that is Landorus, Therian, or Clefable. So then we end up having 2 Steel types and 2 Landoruses on the opposing sides of the field. So definitely going to be interesting to see. Maybe it's trying to predict that Earthquake from the opposing Landorus so it's not taking any damage, and also getting that Intimidate off onto both Pokemon, except for the Clear Body on Metagross, not taking any stat drops.
Yep, we do see the Earthquake, as I was saying, just trying to proc the weakness policy Metagross, trying to have that extra power. I suppose that should be a weakness policy. Yep, there is a weakness policy activation, but does Celesteela have anything to touch the Metagross? Something like a Max Flare, potentially. There is a Max Steel Spike coming, I suppose, into the Metagross. He just wants to get rid of it immediately. He knows that by getting the Steel Spike and getting the defense boost, the Metagross is probably unable to do anything to Celesteela.
Yeah, and that gets another Beast Boost off, too, with that Steel Spike. Getting rid of that Landorus, that's 2 really fast KOs here for CJ. So now he's got +2 of special attack, and he's already at +2 defense as well. Max Hailstorm coming out here from the Metagross into the Celesteela, so that will do a small chunk of damage. This is still, it's building itself up a really tough wall to get to beat down. Even getting that hail trip damage isn't really going to be doing a lot. It'll help, absolutely. It'll definitely help, but it's not, you know, it's also hurting you at the same time.
Yeah, Metagross is against the wall now. Like you saw, that was a +2 max move into a Celesteela and took like what, like 20% probably. That is the definition of the wall in my book. Celesteela is standing there trying to do as much damage as possible, getting the defense boost, getting also the special attack boost at the same time. We see a Tapu Fini now. There's the Metagross. There is also a Tapu Fini on the opponent's perspective here. And let's see, what can we expect from CJ's perspective now.
Yeah, so I mean, also too, to keep in mind, he does have that Clefairy in the back, so even once his Dynamax is over, if he can get Clefairy, and he's going to get all sorts of, you know, follow me's, sings, maybe even just to make this a little bit tougher on Mark's, on Shui's end here. Definitely going to be interesting to see, though, especially with now having to fight against a Tapu Fini that's boosting that Metagross in ways. The Earthquake obviously not affecting the Celesteela, though, going into both the Metagross and the Tapu Fini does a pretty good chunk to both of them here. While the Scald from Tapu Fini into the Landorus is going to do almost enough to take it out, but not enough, and it doesn't get a burn here. While the Max Flare from Celesteela into that Metagross is enough to take that thing out of here. So now that puts CJ at, I think, pretty much Tapu Fini against the world here for Shui, right? It's a pretty comfortable position.
Yeah, Celesteela is just like getting the snowball every single turn. Probably the opponent didn't expect Celesteela to have Max Flare, since it's something you don't normally see on Celesteela nowadays. You normally expect like Air Slash, Flash Cannon, Meteor Beam, unless the Celesteela, of course, is having that fire coverage. And as we saw, the Celesteela was already faster than the Metagross. He didn't even need to go for like a Max Airstream to increase his speed or something. He just knew that he was faster than Max Flare. The Celesteela was already like, I think, +4, since it picked like 2 kills and also the weakness policy activation. So it was actually +4. And now it's just Tapu Fini against the world, as you said.
Yeah, so Landorus going back there for CJ, sending out Clefairy, making it a little bit tougher, maybe wanting to tank one of those hits. Fini going for a Protect here, though. So Fini is not going to be taking any damage this turn. The Flash Cannon going off, but right into that Protect as well.
And I like this play from CJ. Like, you already saw the Tapu Fini revealed Scald, so there is probably not a Muddy Water there. So you can just bring Clefairy, you can just have that Friend Guard. Look at that Celesteela, +5 special attack, +2 defense. The defense is not going to matter here, of course, since Tapu Fini is a special attacker. But you can just like click something like Follow Me if you want to be safe, Helping Hand if you want to just like seal the game immediately. And that's what we see.
Yeah, that Helping Hand immediately seals it. A Calm Mind here from Tapu Fini, not even trying for a double Protect, knowing that this is pretty much the end here, maybe seeing if it could wall it out. But I feel like a Tapu Fini with a Calm Mind up versus a +5 with Helping Hand, Flash Cannon, Celesteela is not going to make it. Yeah, so that is the first game here. This first game goes to Pokemon Master CJ, who had a very strong plan. You can see why.
Yeah, exactly. So as we saw, there is a Raichu. Raichu came. Raichu had the role of just protecting the Celesteela if the opponent decides to go for like something like a Rotom Heat, and also providing like the Fake Out support, also like the side Volt Switch to activate the weakness policy. And Celesteela was a really tough Pokemon for Shu to face, because Celesteela had like even the fire covers to attack that Metagross, which as you saw, it just didn't care about the Metagross, killed everything next to him, and then turn 3 of its Dynamax, he decided to attack finally the Metagross to pick up the one-hit KO.
Yeah, it definitely makes me wonder what Shui is going to do in terms of changing up his strategy. If he does bring that Rotom Heat, now that he knows that he's got a Celesteela that's running a Fire-type attack specifically for that Metagross, if he changes his Dynamax Pokemon to maybe something like that Landorus on his end. Really definitely interested to see exactly what his game plan is. CJ has any reason to adjust here.
Exactly. From Sho's perspective, you see a Spectre. Spectre is faster than Raichu. It's the only one that is faster than Raichu. And one of the things that like didn't help him on the first game was like he lost Grimmsnarl immediately by doing nothing because of the Fake Out and Max Steel Spike immediately. So probably going for a Spectre this time, so because Spectre cannot be Fake Out since it's a Ghost type, and trying to, I don't know, probably doing something like Snarl to Celesteela to reduce that special attack one stage at least. And then once that happens, probably pivoting a little bit with the Grimmsnarl, switching out into a Rotom Heat, which 4 times resist Steel type moves, and then protecting or doing something to stall the Dynamax.
Right into game 2 here, though. Let's definitely see what the leads are. So that Spectrier does come out instead of that Grimmsnarl with that Metagross for Shui, while CJ sends out that Landorus and the Clefairy. So different leads for both of them here. I'm interested to see that Celesteela definitely not coming out first, probably knowing that he knows exactly how strong this thing is. Now I've got to play a little bit careful. The Intimidate going out onto the Spectrier here, not on that Clear Body Metagross, though.
Yeah, you would have to imagine that Spectre is probably running something like a Bulldoze to proc the weakness policy on Metagross. Remember, the Metagross has Clear Body, so it's not going to be affected by the speed drop, but it's going to be hit by that ground type move, proccing the weakness policy. Spectre can have a lot of support moves. Will-O-Wisp can even have Taunt, I guess, to taunt the Clefairy. Clefairy is helping Landers this time around, but Clefairy is also threatened by the Metagross Steel type moves. So let's see if he just like switches out the Clefairy or decides to protect. That's something that a lot of players tend to do with Clefairy there, just to keep the Friend Guard active.
Metagross protecting this turn. No turn 1 Dynamaxes on either side, unlike last game. The Follow Me coming out here from Clefairy, trying to protect its buddy next door, while we can have the Spectrier actually going for the Taunt here on that Clefairy, like you said. So a very interesting Taunt Spectrier here. The Swords Dance coming out from Landorus, so it's going to boost itself up, but I think taunting that Clefairy is a really interesting play that I don't know if CJ was anticipating.
Okay, yes, there's exactly what I was saying. The taunt coming off from the Spectre, knowing that Clefairy, it's most likely gonna be a problem. He wanted to taunt it, but now the Landorus managed to get a Swords Dance off, and we know that Landorus is a Pokemon that likes to Dynamax. Probably he's gonna Dynamax now. A Spectre can try to go for a Will-O-Wisp if he has that move, but most Landorus are running Lumberry, and I think that's the case for the Landorus that we have now. And we do see a switch out from the Metagross into Landorus, expecting probably that Max Wake into that Steel type Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that lowering that attack, doing a little bit, removing a little bit of what that Swords Dance did. That Landorus does Dynamax though, so it is going to try and get off a lot of damage this turn after getting that Swords Dance up, after boosting itself a little bit, trying to get a few more boosts during this Dynamax. Interested to see though that Clefairy only has Moonblast, I believe. Yeah. So that Clefairy is going to have to go for an attack because he didn't switch it out this turn.
Exactly. Clefairy is a Pokemon that, as I normally like to say, it is doing its job even if it's not doing anything, just because of Friend Guard being so great. And we do see the Will-O-Wisp into Landorus, and the Lumberry is there protecting that. And he actually reads the switch out and goes for a Max Airstream into what was the Metagross, which was going to resist that attack. So great play coming from CJ's now.
Yeah, that is an absolutely spectacular play. Plus, he's getting his speed up, knowing that he's going against a faster Spectrier. The Moonblast coming out here from Clefairy into that slot, getting a little bit of damage off, but still really supporting with that Friend Guard. So that was a great switch call, a great use of the Lumberry there on his Landorus, knowing even if he brings in the Spectre and even if it tries to Will-O-Wisp me this turn, I'm still going to get a move off. And the Metagross coming back out where that Landorus was. So that Landorus not doing much of anything here for Shui.
Yep, he just went down to its Pokeball. And now Landorus is +1, so Landorus, you would have to imagine, is EV to outspeed Spectre. Spectre is naturally fast, but Landorus at +1 should be faster. You can decide what target you want to hit. You can Quake into the Metagross slot, for example. You can also Quake into the Spectre. Metagross could Protect, so you could be proccing a Weakness Policy through Protect, so I don't know if he wants to do that. He now has advantage, the speed advantage, and he probably has a Celesteela in the back, which Metagross cannot touch that well. So you can just go for the Spectre, I guess, or try to predict again the switch it.
This Metagross goes out, though. The Rotom Heat, which we did not see last game, comes in, which was something I was interested to see if they would bring for this Celesteela that is swapping out for that Clefairy right now. So double switches on each, or switches on each side, and the max Airstream coming out here. Is that going in into the Spectrier slot? The Spectrier is now down for the count, knocked out here by that Airstream. We're going even faster now. So interested to see Rotom here. It's going to be Rotom and Metagross, and they've got a big task ahead of him here.
Exactly. You see how CJ handled this match. He knew in team preview, hey, my opponent has 2 immunities to my max Quakes. There's a Rotom Heat, which has Levitate. There's another Landorus, which of course is immune to ground. I'm not even gonna bother trying to max Quake your Metagross. I know you can switch out, so I'm just gonna go for Airstreams. He took a very aggressive position, and it's paying off. The Landorus is just getting knockouts, and now it's +2 speed as well. It's gonna outspeed everything here, and Celesteela is there, and now there's no switch outs available for the opponent because the 2 immunities were already seen. We already saw the Landorus died immediately, and Rotom is there, so you can just safely attack the Metagross slot if you want, or you can just max Rockfall also the Rotom Heat slot.
Yeah, there's no issues there in terms of trying to predict a switch or anything now, so it makes his job a lot easier. He's not even really worrying. He can go for that max Rockfall onto that Rotom Heat, get a lot of damage off here. Celesteela coming back, though, just came in probably to intimidate a little bit, not really. But Clefairy taking its place once more, getting that Friend Guard boost back up. The Dynamax here is coming out, so we'll have to see if it is that Metagross or that Rotom Heat. I am interested to see, because it could be that Rotom Heat, maybe. But it is that Metagross. I was wondering if the Rotom Heat would come out trying to get that Celesteela at the end game.
Yeah, the Landorus is only +1 though, because the other Landorus managed to intimidate him, so it's only +1. Probably Metagross survives, but he doesn't want to take any damage. He just goes for the max card, hoping that he attacked that slot. But no, CJ is just ignoring the Metagross turn by turn. Is just attacking what is next to him, picking 3 kills. He said, you know what? I don't care about the Metagross. I have Celesteela for you. I don't have to attack you. You're gonna touch my Celesteela. I probably have something else like Cinderace in the back, so Metagross is not a threat. I'm just gonna attack what is next to your Metagross.
Yeah, so that was definitely another very successful Dynamax turn. All of those Dynamax turns were perfect here for CJ. He didn't really have any issues in terms of wasting any of his time.
Yep, when you're one game ahead into a best of 3 set, you normally can afford to make this kind of plays because you know that you are 1 game ahead. You can just try something sometimes and see if it works, especially because, as I said, the opponent did have some ways to pivoting out into an immunity from the max Quake. So instead, there's no literally downside of going for a max Airstream sometimes. It's just hitting everything. There's no immunity to max Airstream, so you can just spam that. And we see the Helping Hand Earthquake doing 80% damage, hitting its own partner. Clefairy did his job, and it's gone now. It
does crit its own Clefairy, though, knocking it out and activating that weakness policy on the Metagross here. So he has to hope that he's done enough damage for his Celesteela to come in if this takes out this Landorus here with that max Steel Spike, which it does. So now he's got to hope this endgame becomes a little tougher. A critical hit there as well, making sure that he's done enough damage now to take care of it.
Exactly, and as we saw in game 1, Celesteela does have Flamethrower, so the plan was okay, I'm just gonna try to get rid of everything next to Metagross, and in my last turn, I'm gonna try to do as much damage as possible. I have 2 ways to hit that Metagross in the bag. I brought the Cinderace this time, which is what I think we're gonna see. Yep, there's the Cinderace. Celesteela also carrying Flamethrower, and Cinderace and Celesteela does look really good for CJs now in this endgame.
Yeah, it definitely gives him a lot of options here. 2 very strong fire type attacks, even the dark type attack here as well that could come out from Cinderace. The Sucker Punch does come out Going to turn this into a dark type as well, so it's going to make any psychic type attacks not be able to hit it. And that's enough to take care of the Metagross. So that means that CJ has won 2 games, and that is his best of 3 first set against Shoeboy VGC. That means he'll be moving on to the next round.
Yeah, amazing performance from CJ. Like, he actually just had complete control of the game. He decided to just go Clefairy Landers, go for a Follow Me Swords Dance, knowing that Clefairy is probably going down like from a max Steel Spike or something. He just prioritized like having that Swords Dance immediately to start putting pressure. He knew that there was a chance that the opponent is just going to Dynamax the Metagross, but this time he brought the Cinderace and the Celesteela. So he probably thought, okay, I'm just going to get the Swords Dance, and once the Landers is set up, it's going to be a huge threat for like all my opponent's Pokemon. Like, you saw that he just like max Ruffle the Rotom, max Airstream everything next to the Metagross, and in the end game he just Earthquake that Metagross with the Helping Hand support, and then he brought the right Pokemon in the back just to have like a defensive switches. And that's how this kind of teams normally work. Like, Clefairy is there to help with either a Follow Me, a Helping Hand, or as I said, just by being there, Clefairy is doing his job, even if it's not doing anything.
Yeah, I almost feel like there was a lot more of Shoeboy's team that I wanted to see that we didn't get to. You know, I had no idea what type of Grimmsnarl he was running, what his plan was. I know definitely his, you know, he tried to adjust, but it just always felt like CJ was one step ahead of him. That first team getting that Celesteela up turn 1 versus the Metagross turn 1 Dynamax in the game 1 definitely set a offensive start right there. Definitely put him, said, here I am, I'm trying, I'm going to definitely take care of everything that's going on here, and I'm going to be one step ahead of you the entire time.
Yes, exactly. That's what we saw. And now we're going into the next round.
Yeah, so this one is very exciting. This has, while their in-game names are Alex and Elvira, we've got Azulite and Pikaplays. So Azulite, I believe, is Alex, and Pikaplays is Avira. So I will be referring to them hopefully by their names here, but it is interesting to see. We did miss that team preview as well, though, so we'll have to.
I saw a Colossal and I saw a Relicanth. I'm likely just, I don't know what to expect here from that Relicanth, to be completely honest with you guys.
Urshifu Dragapult here for the lead, so that is going to make a definitely given me a lot of Colossal vibes. I know I did a lot of practice with Colossal way back in the day. And then Amoonguss and Landorus Therian here. Intimidate coming off onto both of these Pokemon. Actually, no. Intimidate coming off onto one of these Pokemon. The Clear Body for the Dragapult, not bothering with that Intimidate.
Yeah, exactly. We do see the Urshifu. There is a Weezing also on the opponent's team. There was a Relicanth, a lot of crazy stuff there. And on Alex's side, we did have like the Colossal mode. I think I also saw a Celesteela there, which is like one Pokemon that is like being paired with Colossal lately, which has really good type synergy with it. And let's see what we can expect here. We know that Amoonguss can just put things to sleep thanks to a Spore. And Landorus can just go for like a Dynamax immediately, but instead he just decided to switch out the Landorus.
Yeah, bringing Weezing the Rank Master in, gonna remove all of the abilities on the field with that neutralizing gas. So it's interesting to see if this was brought for that Colossal. A Dynamax here instead, though, so that Colossal maybe didn't come if it's not Dynamaxing in the back. Definitely something to pay attention to. The Dynamax here is for the Dragapult as well, so a big offensive move here from Dragapult, trying to get some damage off, not the Urshifu. So definitely a turn of many different things than I maybe would have expected, especially keeping that Landorus off. The Max Phantasm here into the Amoonguss, trying to get a bunch of damage off, gets it 3/4 of the way down, trying to say, don't put me to sleep, I don't want to deal with that.
Yep. On Colossal teams now, you kind of have to imagine that the Dragapult can be both like offensive or support. Lately, we know that Dragapult can most likely be support, but there is some like Colossal teams that have life for Dragapult in it just to have the flexibility of changing modes if they want. And the thing with Dragapult offensive is that you can just spam Max Phantasm, dropping defenses on the opponent, and with a really strong like Urshifu next to him, he can just pick up kills, as you saw in the Amoonguss.
Yeah, it doesn't want to deal with any sleep this turn. Amoonguss down for the count before it can get any moves out on the field, and that Landorus having to take its place back there. So definitely interesting to see that the opponent's biggest concern was sleep here, trying to make sure that nothing can get to sleep, that it can keep putting that pressure on. So definitely going to have to see where it goes from here, though. While a Dynamax comes out, this will be into that Landorus, trying to probably match, at least get another KO on their side.
Yeah, you know that like Landorus is slower, should be slower always than Urshifu. It depends how these Pokemon are trained, but you normally train your Urshifu like max speed Jolly, so you outspeed Landorus, and that's a water Urshifu, so you're gonna do a lot of damage with Surging Strikes. And Dragapult can just keep spamming Max Phantasm since it's the fastest thing on the field. Max Phantasm if he wants, but no, since he likes to go for the Airstream, just prioritizing the speed, knowing that probably the Landorus is also gonna go for Max Airstream on its own, and he wants to keep that speed advantage on his side of the field.
Yeah, and that Dragapult is running Life Orb too. Definitely interesting to see. That Surging Strikes comes out here though, and that is going to go into that Weezing as well, trying to take that down with its 3 critical hits that it'll supply, and it should definitely take care of it. That is interesting now too, because now that gets rid of the no abilities, so those will come back off, which means the Intimidate's going to go off and get a -1 onto the Urshifu again.
Yeah, he most likely like expected a Protect or Max or Landorus, or probably not. He just saw like, okay, I'm probably sashing my Urshifu. You cannot kill my Urshifu because I'm holding a sash, so I can just get rid of the Weezing, and then the next turn I can just Surging Strikes your Landorus. I can probably go for a Max Phantasm even to drop your defense and just like pick up the knockout on a Dynamax Landorus since it's going to be a -1 defense. And the Urshifu is putting a lot of pressure on like most of the opponent's team because we do see a Rotom Heat, which is weak to water. Landorus also weak to water. And now we have kind of a mind game because the Landorus could max guard, just like hoping that he attacks that slot, or he can just like switch out. No, there's no other switch outs. The Rotom Heat is the last Pokemon. So like he knows that the Rotom is like, it cannot even protect because Urshifu goes through protect.
Yeah, and he's definitely probably fighting himself here, saying, I wish there was any sort of priority move I could put on to take care of this Urshifu at 1 HP, but not going to happen. That Phantasm coming out first, though, that Dragapult being the fastest thing on the field, gets that Rotom down almost 3/4 again. What a strong move from that Dragapult, knocking the defense down on both of those Pokemon, just making it easier for that Urshifu to get some really strong attacks off. Rotom's going to eat its berry here, going to regain some of that health, though, that it did just lose. Bring it back almost up to health half with that Citrus Berry. And then the White Herb removing that stat change on that Landorus, which is interesting to see. Surging Strikes here, though, coming out. This should be able to finish off the Rotom. No problem. It's one single hit. So now it's Landorus versus the world. So Landorus versus 4 Pokemon, this makes it pretty tough.
Yep. And as I said, like just having the Dragapult Max Phantasm, you can just spam Max Phantasm. It's so spammable. Like only 1 immunity in the game, which is a normal typing. And I think this guy didn't have like any normal type to switch into it. So Alex probably knew, okay, I can just spam Max Phantasm. That's going to drop your defenses, and my Urshifu is going to do massive damage. And with Urshifu, you know your opponent cannot protect, but Urshifu cannot go through Max Guard, so that's why I said at least like the regular Urshifu, he can just like predict that Max Guard on the Landorus and attack the Rotom because you know that slot is safe. And Dragapult going for a Phantom Force and Landorus retaliating with a Max Wake into the Urshifu.
Yeah, Dragapult saying, I don't want to get hit at all. I'm going to disappear for a second. You can take care of my 1 HP Urshifu. See what else I'm running in the back. Maybe the only good thing about this is he'll be able to get some info, even if he's in a really tough position right now, seeing what their opponent brings. Rillaboom, though, is definitely a tough fight, I think, here with some Grassy Glides that could come off.
Yeah, we have to remember that Landorus has -1 defense, I think, so the Grassy Glide is going to do massive damage, and that was the last turn of Dynamax. Like, it's pretty much like over for Landorus. He cannot even protect, even if he has it. He can protect against the Rillaboom's like Grassy Glide or Fake Out, which we know he also carries Fake Out sometimes, but Phantom Force goes through Protect, so it's going to do massive damage anyways, and you can just Grassy Glide the next turn just to finish it off.
Definitely interesting, though, because we did see the Dragapult was holding the Life Orb, which means this Rillaboom could be the Assault Vest variant, which means it may, have that knockoff or that Fake Out, but it might not want to use it. That Fake Out, I mean.
We do see the Phantom Force into the Rillaboom, actually. He probably misclicked there. He Phantom Force his own Pokemon. No Phantom Force into the Landorus. That was like a very weird situation to happen.
Definitely weird. You have to assume that was a misclick there. Nothing that he could have procced a weakness policy with. The Grassy Glide coming out here, though, brings it down to just under half. Phantom Force going out again. Have to assume we'll have to make sure that if he goes for it. Landorus going for Fly here, though, trying to make sure that it, as it's the slowest thing on the field, it won't be attacked first next turn.
Yeah, it is like it's only shot here. Interesting to see though. Dragapult did get a max airstream boost, and Landers got 2 airstream boosts. But Dragapult normally, if it's trained max speed Jolly, it's able to outspeed Landers, even if it's Jolly a +2, because how fast Dragapult normally is, and that's actually the case. So Dragapult is still faster than that +2 Landers, and like Rillaboom just reeling the protect. No way to hit that mon if it protects, and now you can just like go for a Grassy Glide, even Dragon Darts if you have it.
Yeah, that fly there definitely was a very easy readable protect from that Rillaboom. Obviously, you can't go for that Phantom Forcing Dragapult. Grassy Glide here should be enough to finish this up, and it is. So that is game 1 here. A very, very dominant game 1 on Alex's side.
Yeah, you see how powerful, you see how like offensive a Dragapult Lifer can be next to physical attackers that can just combine its like Max Phantasm dropping the defense into very powerful hits. That's why that archetype is so good. As I was saying at the beginning, Dragapult in that Colossal team tend to be support. That's why, for example, something like the Players Cup 2 winning team from Wolfclick he had a support Dragapult with something like Breaking Swipe, Will-O-Wisp, but you can also train your Dragapult just in a classic way with Life Orb and just having physical attackers, and that creates some mind games from the start. When you see a Dragapult and you don't have information in a Colossal team, you don't know what to expect. Now that information is revealed, you know now that the Dragapult is just Life Orb and offensive.
Yeah, so now we can really properly go over these teams. Pika was running Regigigas, Weezing, Relicanth, Landorus, Rotom, and Amoonguss, while Alex was running Dragapult, Colossal, Rillaboom, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu, and Celesteela. So a very similar Colossal team to that we've seen before. Relicanth, though, looks like in this team preview is going to come out first, so I'm very interested to see what this Relicanth plan is here for Pika.
Yeah, we do see the Regigigas is holding the Salbes actually on team previews, since we see this from one of the players' perspective. And as I said at the beginning, I don't know what to expect from the Relicanth. I just see a leftovers there. And we do have to consider that the fastest thing on the field from both teams is Dragapult. That's why like Alex decided to lead with it, because he knows that it's faster. He can just like even increase the speed with max airstream, so Urshifu can attack Regigigas. You would have to imagine he was also covering for the Regigigas lead. He cannot go Colossal because there's a Weezing, so you know, with Weezing neutralizing gas, Colossal Steam Engine cannot be activated if Weezing is there. So just to be safe, he probably thought, you know, I'm just gonna go with my offensive mode, Dragapult Urshifu, and there we see once again Dragapult Urshifu.
Yeah, it's a very solid lead. While that Regigigas Amoonguss comes out here for Pika. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they're going to try and target that Amoonguss just as hard as they did first turn last game, especially because Alex looked like he didn't really change anything. You know, he probably felt he didn't need to. He had a very strong, powerful answer, a lot of pressure that he was able to put out here.
Exactly, and we do see on the player's screen that the Relicanth, I think, was carrying Iron Defense, if I'm not mistaken. So we are gonna see like probably a different Registeel or Ferrothorn. It's just like a water type. That
or
fish is there.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Iron Defense Body Press Pokemon coming up in the meta right now. A Dynamax coming out here for Alex, though, I believe. So it should probably be that Dragapult again, which it is. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for the exact same moves that it went for last time.
Yeah, as I was saying, Max Phantasm is so spammable. You can just literally click it, and like you know that your opponent cannot even protect, because Urshifu's on Sinfist is making Urshifu to hit anything, and even if they protect against the Max Phantasm, the effect is still going to be applied, the -1 defense. And there we see Max Phantasm into the Amoonguss clicking Rage Spotter, and you would have to imagine the Urshifu is just going to finish it off.
Yeah, and that Amoonguss said, doesn't matter, I know what you're doing, I want you to hit me anyway. So that Surging Strike should come off and finish that Amoonguss just like we saw last game, but it's leaving room for Relicanth here to get those boosts if it really wants to, get itself set up early in this game while Amoonguss just tanks those hits and protects it. Definitely tough, though. I'm sure you'd love to get some sleeps off if you could later in the game. The Iron Defense, though, for Relicanth here, going to boost that defense, set it up for maybe some body presses down the line.
Yep. We do see that. It's only +1 though, because the Max Phantasm did manage to get that -1 defense, but at least it's +1. Relicanth is trying his best to do something here. Now we also see a Landorus again, similar to what happened in game 1. Landorus is there, but you know that Landorus is outsped by both of the opponent's Pokemon here. Dragapult is faster, Urshifu is also faster, I suppose, if it's trained max speed. So you can just pick up a kill with a Max Phantasm into the ElleBelleChan, I suppose, and a Surging Strikes into the Landorus, knowing that a -1 defense, the Surging Strikes should be able to even pick up the knockout on a Dynamax Landorus.
Yeah, interesting though to see if he does want to go for something really strong here, like a Dynamax move, which we do believe Pika is going to. She's going to go for that Dynamax move here, trying to get as much damage off, trying to put this game back in her favor, trying to not lose the momentum like she did last time. And we did see that Relicanth was going to go for a body press, which should be really interesting to see exactly how much damage that gets off.
Yep, we do see the Landorus Dynamax, and I think I didn't see a Max Guard from the opponent side. So there is a Max Phantasm, I suppose, into the ElleBelleChan. No, it's actually into the Landorus, dropping that defense. You know that that's like a free target, I guess. He knows that there's the pressure of the opponent just like probably protecting. So Dragapult just wanted to get as much damage as possible. We do know there's a White Herb, so that's something that I actually forgot that the Landorus is holding, so the defense dropping was not going to matter that much. That's why he wanted to target that Landorus, because that's going to be a knockout into it. He needed the chip damage because the -1 defense from Max Phantasm was not going to be applied because of the White Herb.
Yeah, that was really close there. I was kind of holding my breath a little bit, making sure that those Surging Strikes were enough to take out that Landorus after that White Herb procced for it. And that is a very, very quick way to not have a Dynamax. The body press here from Relicanth doesn't do a lot of damage, but it was back at neutral because of that second Phantasm. So that Phantasm here really messing with the game plan that Pika wants to go with that Relicanth here. And then the Rotom Heat in the back as that last Pokemon. So once again, a 2v4 situation here where it looks like Alex is completely in the driver's seat.
Yeah, there's no way for Rotom to win this. Like, you know, he cannot even protect. I also saw that Relicanth had a yawn, so he probably could have gone for the yawn, trying to like fish for some sleep turns and go from there. But Rotom cannot even protect in front of that Urshifu. So Urshifu is free to attack that slot, and Max Phantasm into the Relicanth will also drop the defense, so guaranteeing the knockout into Rotom Heat. And we see the win.
I'm not gonna put myself through the torture of watching me lose in slow fashion, which is very understandable. It takes that forfeit though, so that means that Alex is gonna move on into round 2, so that is very exciting for him. Once again, just like the last game, two very, very prominent teams just going right into the driver's seat, taking control from turn 1 and getting them done very quickly.
Exactly. That core is like really, really, really devastating. Like a physical attacker next to a Dragapult that can just spam Max Phantasm. It's always that we have, like, I think even from like the first months of Sword and Shield. Like I remember there was like a Tyranitar Dragapult from a Japanese team back then. Tyranitar like being another, like before Urshifu was even introduced, another physical attacker that hits really hard. Now with Urshifu, you don't even have to like worry about your opponent like going for intimidates, because Urshifu always crits, and Dragapult cannot be even intimidated because of clear body. So you have that like really fast aggressive mode that can just pick up kills immediately if the opponent is unprepared, and you pair that with the Colossal because the opponent has to respect both modes. That's why in this case Alex just decided to go with Dragapult, because he saw Weezing and he might thought, okay, I'm just going Dragapult and hit like physical attacks immediately on your team.
Yeah, and we're going to be jumping right into this MasterMark VGC, so a whole new set. We're going to be seeing this from THATSA perspective. So Suicune, Dragapult, Entei, Landorus, Grimmsnarl, Duraludon. Very interesting. While Mark is running Landorus, Grimmsnarl, Feeny, Rotom Heat, Urshifu, and Porygon 2. So almost similar, it feels like, to the last few teams that we've seen with Mark's. But THATSA's team is very interesting. 2 of the legendary dogs there, plus Duraludon.
Yeah, we do see a Suicune and an Entei, and we see a Duraludon, which is a Pokemon that we haven't seen that much in like this past series. Duraludon was a Pokemon that was so strong in the first series of VGC. It actually won Dallas Regionals in that team with Charizard, Whimsicott, and it had a Life Orb back then. But let's see what kind of strategies this Duraludon is like going to do here. We did see like the Duraludon was holding a weakness policy, so I suppose some sort of like Entei Bulldoze probably to proc it or something around those lines. But as you saw, we also have like a very similar team to the first team that we had on the other side, on Mark's side, I think, with like Grimmsnarl and Rotom Heat, Landorus, and Tapu Fini. And we do see the leads now on the field.
Yeah, the Entei and the Duraludon. So like you said, maybe something Entei can do here to proc that weakness policy. While Grimmsnarl and Tapu Fini on the other side, that Misty Surge will be coming out here though. So that's going to be interesting to see exactly what this Grimmsnarl is going for. Entei does go for a Bulldoze here. So I do believe that you made that call. That should be right.
Yep, we do see like the lead. There's a Tapu Fini, Grimmsnarl can be anything. Can have like a Trick, Lagging Tail / Full Incense. Can also have Fake Out, but Entei cannot be flinched because of Inner Focus. So even if the Grimmsnarl has Fake Out, that option is completely denied. Because you have to imagine the Duraludon is going to Dynamax here probably. But no, we don't see a Dynamax. Instead, we just see the light screen from the Grimmsnarl in this first turn of the match.
Yeah, Entei's still going for that Bulldoze, though, with no Dynamax. It doesn't do that much damage, which is still good for it not being in its Dynamax form. Gonna drop the speed, though. Gonna give it that weakness policy boost, so it's gonna get those boosts in attack and special attack. Definitely interesting to see, though, that Grimmsnarl and the Fini also losing their speed as well. Fini using a Calm Mind here, too. Gonna boost that defense and special defense.
And we do see that the Fini is actually faster than the Duraludon. When you use Bulldoze, you know that you're going to drop the speed on everything on the field, so that's why you normally use Bulldoze next to a Clear Bodymon. But in this case, if you are already faster than your opponent and you're dropping their speed as well, you're still going to be faster at the end of the turn. But I like the play here. Duraludon is not even Dynamaxing because he was probably covering for a Trick. So he might said, okay, if you have Trick, I'm not going to waste my Dynamax into it because you're going to probably get rid of my weakness policy. So in case you have it, I'm just going to keep it like small. I'm not going to Dynamax and just try to get rid of your Grimmsnarl immediately.
Yeah, that Grimmsnarl out turn one. Like, it feels like we've seen every single game with a Grimmsnarl in turn one gets knocked out pretty immediately. Porygon 2 coming in here, though. Possibly trying to get, it's two very interesting mods, I think, on the opposing side here. It'll just be, you know, that Tapu Fini's not wanting to deal with a Flash Cannon here from Duraludon, especially not at +2.
Yep, Duraludon is boosted now. It did take some, like, okay damage from its own Bulldoze because it didn't Dynamax. But we do see a Porygon. Porygon is a Pokemon that lately is carrying Eerie Impulse, so that can be something to watch out because Eerie Impulse Porygon can be really, really disruptive against special attackers. We also know that Porygon is probably just carrying Trick Room, as almost every Porygon does, and you have to imagine that Porygon is here like for a reason. Probably is going to try his best to just like Eerie Impulse the Duraludon and protect the Fini, I guess. You can also go for a Protect Trick Room, but that wouldn't make that much sense because we saw that the Fini is faster than the Duraludon, so probably we're just going to see like something from the Porygon trying to keep its Fini like healthy.
Yeah, the Duraludon does Dynamax here, though, and a Snarl comes out from Entei trying to just lower the stats of the special attack on the opposite side. Moonblast here into that Duraludon does a pretty hefty chunk of damage, about a quarter in Dynamax, which would be probably about half. The Steel Spike here into the Fini does just over half of its damage as well. Trying to see, especially if this Porygon 2 does go for an Eerie Impulse, but it is last, so it still could be that Trick Room, which it is.
Yep, we do see the Trick Room, which is a very interesting move because, as I said, Fini was faster than Duraludon, so going for a Trick Room means that Fini is actually going to move after Duraludon now, but he knows that Porygon is probably the slowest thing anyways, so he wanted to have that, like, speed advantage for Porygon so he can Eerie Impulse first. But you also have to like remember that Duraludon was hit by a Bulldoze, so it's -1 speed, and that Bulldoze happened when Porygon was not on the field. So Porygon is not -1, so who knows, probably this Duraludon is even slower than Porygon now.
Yeah, exactly. Even with those Bulldozes, it could be one of the slowest Pokemon here on the field, which would be really interesting to see because it looks like something that would be thriving in Trick Room, but it being slower in Trick Room would be very interesting. The Dynamax coming out here as well on the opposite side. Is this that Tapu Fini, which it is? So a Tapu Fini at half health going up against a Dynamax Duraludon. Very interesting to see.
Yeah, we do see Tapu Fini. He did manage to get like a Calm Mind up, and Tapu Fini with a Calm Mind boost is a Pokemon that you can very well just Dynamax. It is really bulky. It is really powerful once it's set up. And that's what we see here, but we do see the Max Guard under the Duraludon, and Porygon just going for a Tri-Attack, not even trying to go for an Air Impulse. We still don't know if he has it, though.
Yeah, Snarl coming out here, though, which Tapu Fini is not really going to enjoy taking here, lowering those stats of that special attack. That Duraludon, though, playing it safe to getting that Max Guard off so it doesn't have to take that Max move, letting that Entei get those Snarls off, lowering the special attack of this Fini that's been trying to Calm Mind boost for most of this game.
Exactly. Ante just putting in work here, just spamming the snarls into special attackers, like setting up the Duraludon with Bulldoze. And Ante, you know, it's a Pokemon that is weak to Tapu Fini on paper, but it's normally trained like bulky. And we saw that the Duraludon is actually slower than the P2. That's what I was saying. Like, Duraludon managed to get the Bulldoze before P2 was on the field. So it's actually slower. So I don't think the Trick Room was going to help that much here. And we do see Duraludon taking advantage of that Trick Room.
Yeah, that Steel Spike, though, going into the Tapu Fini, not enough to knock it out, while a Starfall, not enough to knock out that Duraludon, plus another bit of damage there from the Porygon 2 from that Tri-Attack, also not enough to knock it out, so it's still hanging on. The Snarl here, once again, dropping the special attack on both of these Pokemon, so Entei really is just lowering the special attack of all of these Pokemon, trying to get them to do absolutely no damage, so the Duraludon can survive double hits like that, double targets.
Exactly. Duraludon is just trying his best to do as much damage as possible. He refuses to die. He's still there, hanging on there. And the Porygon just revealed that it has Ice Beam and Tri-Attack, so it's pretty likely he doesn't have the Aerial Impulse that we were like probably speculating. And now the Tapu Fini is like, what, a quarter health. It is Dynamax, but it's not +1 special attack anymore because of all the snarls. I think it's probably -1 probably. And Entei is still there. Even in Trick Room, Entei is still there, is hanging on there, just spamming the snarls and being disruptive against the opponent. And let's see what these guys decide to do in this case.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting. Duraludon going first with that Flash Cannon. Not enough to take out that Tapu Fini, though, but it does drop that special defense, another stage right there. Max Geyser from Tapu Fini coming out. Should be going into that Entei, trying to make it stop snarling it, but it's not enough. That Entei still hangs on, so those snarls have been really helpful here, but it is setting up the rain. Not sure exactly if that really messes with anything here. Ice Beam from Porygon 2 coming out. That'll go into the Duraludon. That is just enough to take it out. That last 10 HP that the Duraludon was holding on to.
And Entei keeps spamming the snarls. Like, Entei is a good boy. She just wants to snarl everything. You saw that the Max Geyser from Tapu Fini wasn't even able to get rid of it. Of course, the Tapu Fini was not boosted anymore. He was probably -1 or -2. I cannot remember now. But the snarls are just paying off here. And, like, we do see a Duraludon finally is knocked out. And that means that the player has, like, a new Pokemon that he can bring to the match. Probably that Suicune that we'd see there. I'm curious to see what kind of set he has on the Suicune, but no, instead he decides to go Dragapult now.
Yeah, that's a +1, bringing out the Dragapult instead as the swap in for that Duraludon. Tapu Fini's Dynamax is now over, so it will shrink back down to normal size. Be prepared to start sending out some regular moves with the little HP that it has. Looks like a lot of Pokemon here are really hanging on, though.
Yeah, the Dragapult is the fastest thing normally on the field, but because we do have, I guess, 1 or 2 more turns of Trick Room, it's going to be the slowest mon to attack here. And it's interesting that he decided to bring it because we do know Tapu Fini is a fairy, and we do know that Porygon also has Ice Beam that can hit that Dragapult for super effective damage. But because of all the snarls that Entei managed to get, like, probably he thinks Dragapult is going to take those, even a combination of attacks, just fine. And he wants to, like, guarantee damage on the Tapu Fini. And we do see the Moonblast from Tapu Fini coming into that Dragapult. Let's see how much it does. It doesn't even do health, and we do see a switch in for Suicune now.
Yeah, Suicune coming in, though. Gonna take that Tri-Attack very comfortably, but does get burned, which is pretty tough. However, the minus special attacks really making this tough for any damage to come off on MasterMark's side. Dragapult vanishing, though. Gonna use that Phantom Force. Gonna come back next turn. Get some damage off into that Tapu Fini later. But that burn on Suicune, definitely a little rough right now. Trick Room also ending this turn, so Suicune should be moving pretty quick.
Yeah, the burn effect into Suicune most likely doesn't matter for damage reduction because Suicune is normally a special attacker, but it does help a little bit by doing that chip damage every turn. We do see that Trick Room ended those, as you said, so Dragapult now is going to move first with that Phantom Force, and we know that every Pokemon that is being hit or can be hit by a Phantom Force cannot even protect in front of it because Phantom Force goes through Protect. We do see a switch out though. Let's see what Pokemon he decides to bring. There's the Urshifu.
Yeah, Tapu Fini said, I am done with my special attack being lowered. I'm going to go take a break. Urshifu comes in, though, takes that Phantom Force from Dragapult. Going to do just about a quarter of its damage. Not enough to knock it out or anything, but even that Tapu Fini lives to fight another day. Porygon 2 taking a Scald here, not doing a whole lot of damage, while another Tri-Attack comes out into the same Suicune slot, doing a little bit more damage, but really this is all just some really small chip here.
Yep. I would have liked to see the Scald going into the Tapu Fini slot, just covering a switch in, because like Tapu Fini cannot even protect. So if Tapu Fini goes down from a Phantom Force, the Scald redirects into the Porygon. And if Tapu Fini switches out, that Scald can probably just fish for a burn on the Urshifu that was switched in that turn. But now that Urshifu is putting a lot of pressure into the Dragapult, you know that Urshifu normally carries Sucker Punch. So that can be a mind game there if he predicts a Sucker Punch or not. And we're going to see if the Urshifu decides to go for it or not. We do see a Tapu Fini switching, though.
Yeah, Tapu Fini coming back in, not worrying about that special attack drop from that Entei anymore. Dragon Darts coming out onto each of these Pokemon here. Urshifu getting it down just probably about just above half.
That's a crit.
Yeah, that's a crit. That's huge. So yeah, that Tapu Fini obviously not taking any of that Dragon Darts because it is that fairy type. Wicked Blow coming out here. If this should be into the Dragapult slot or the Suicune slot, still a ton of damage. Gets that Suicune down to well under half. Suicune's going to eat its berry, though, and it's going to gain some hit points back.
Yep. I would have to imagine the opponent was expecting the Dragapult to protect, scouting for the Sucker Punch or something. And there's a critical
hit here.
Another
gets
critical hit.
Knocked out. That a lot of.
I don't know if it matters. Yeah, I don't know if it matters though because the rain was up, and Urshifu is a Pokemon that has a very low special defense stat normally. Anyways, the Tapu Fini switch in was also huge because you cover a little bit the Dragon Darts, and by setting up the Misty Terrain, the Dragon type moves are halved in power. So besides being immune to them, like it's protecting their partner from Dragon type attacks because they are doing less damage. And we do see the Porygon now.
Yeah, Porygon comes back in here. Porygon definitely, once again, not going to have any issues now that its special attack is back up to normal. But it is going to have to deal with, now with 3 Pokemon coming at it. The Phantom Force here will go off. That's going to definitely go into that Tapu Fini, though. Moonblast going into the Suicune, so calling that Phantom Force, now targeting that Dragapult. Scald from Suicune here, going into that Porygon 2 slot. Maybe trying to just fish for a burn here, while Tri-Attack comes out into the Suicune as well. So neither of them attacking that Dragapult, knowing that it would go for a Phantom Force. And getting it down to only a few HP, but if it survives with this burn, it probably won't survive this turn with the burn that it's dealing with now.
Exactly. So by resetting the Misty Terrain, now he is protecting his Porygon from burns because in Misty Terrain, he cannot be burned, which is something that happened to Suicune because at that time, there was no Misty Terrain. And now I'm curious, like, how is this Dragapult and Entei gonna win against a Porygon that we know carries Recover and it's very bulky? I think the game is probably now in Porygon's favor. All you have to do is Ice Beam the Dragapult and then keep spamming Recover to win against an Entei that all you need is also a Tri-Attack because it's so low health.
Yeah, definitely looks a lot more in MasterMark's favor here. I had a lot of strong feelings towards THATSA's team because I thought it was so interesting, Philip's team here. Phantom Force coming out into that Tapu Fini, and it is enough to knock it out, which is huge. So that means it's Porygon versus both of these 2 Pokemon, only having single target moves with Tri-Attack. But this Dragapult is Life Orb, so it's on a timer. Entei going for the Sacred Fire here. Oof. Does a little bit more damage, which is useful. Tri-Attack coming out, though. Going into the Entei, will it be enough to knock it out? It is, so that Entei is now gone. So it is the Dragapult versus this Porygon. And we know this Dragapult has Phantom Force, and we know it has Dragon Darts. Dragon Darts not going to do that much damage with the Misty Terrain out.
Exactly. Just getting rid of the Entei, which you know is the only thing that can hit you for at least like a solid chunk of damage. The Dragapult is not going to be able to do that much because it has Dragon Darts, which in Misty Terrain is doing half damage. Porygon is immune to Phantom Force as well. You also know it has Recover as an option, so it can just Recover or it can just Ice Beam here. But it is a very, very commanding position for the Porygon now.
Dragapult going for the dive now, so it is going to be using another type of move to hide away the Ice Beam not coming in. That is huge. Hopefully this dive here is going to be enough to knock this Porygon out. If not, I don't think it'll survive an Ice Beam from Porygon 2. It is not enough to knock it out, even with a critical hit. So that shows how bulky this Porygon 2 is. The Ice Beam coming out here, this should be enough to knock this Dragapult out, I believe, and it is. So that means this first game goes to MasterMark VGC, which was very interesting endgame, I have to say. Had me on the edge of my seat. Yeah,
I was going to say, you kind of have to hope for a not even enough. But remember that that's information revealed. Now the opponent knows, like, Mark knows that the Dragapult on the opponent's side has Dive and doesn't have something like Fly. At least it has not revealed it. It just revealed Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, and Dive. you don't know what's the last one. But Pokemon is a game of information, and revealing that maybe indicates some kind of plan he has with the Max Geyser potential from the Dragapult. But yeah, not even with the critical hit in that last turn. Porygon is so bulky with the Eviolite, and Porygon managed to hang on and just, he didn't even try to recover. He knew that all he needs is an Ice Beam, and Dragapult was also like doing some recovery himself because of the Ice Beam there. So it was a very commanding spot. As I said, not even with a crit, Porygon is still hanging on.
Yeah, and Philip here, he's going to have to make some adjustments, possibly seeing what worked. That Entei with the Snarls was huge mid-game. It really was keeping the game in his favor. But you have to wonder if not getting the damage off those turns, you know, slowed him down at the end when it came to dealing with a bulky Porygon too that was able to swap out and reset those damage drops. Team preview again here, though. It looks like the team is going to be pretty similar. No Entei this time. That Dragapult's still coming, that Suicune's still coming, swapping it out for a Grimmsnarl.
Yep. We do see, I do think that the matchup is slightly on Mark's favor, because you see that there is a Tapu Fini and a Porygon, and on that +1 team, we don't have like something specific that can hit those two things for super effective damage. There's no electric Pokemon, there's no grass type Pokemon also, so you cannot hit Tapu Fini super effectively with stab move. That doesn't mean like anything though, because you can have like really powerful attacks anyways, like a +2 Duraludon Max Steel Spike, or a Dragapult like with something like Helping Hand Max Phantasm can do a lot of damage. But if Mark plays a Tapu Fini correctly and sets up the screens and saves the Porygon for the end game, it's gonna be really, really tough for that.
Yeah, Tapu Fini and Grimmsnarl here for MasterMark, and for Philip, for that's a +1, it is the Grimmsnarl and the Duraludon. So a max here coming out from, I believe this should be MasterMark VGC, if I'm not mistaken. A very big, yeah, max Tapu Fini early in the game. Ooh. So this was something that we didn't see last game, so I'm interested to see exactly what his game plan is here. If he's predicting a max possibly from this Duraludon turn 1. But we'll have to see as well. There is no max. Grimmsnarl going for a fake out. The Grimmsnarl on Thatsa's side, on Philip's side, gets the opposing Grimmsnarl with that fake out. While Tapu Fini going for a max Starfall here into the Duraludon. This might do it does so much damage. It lives on 3 HP. Flash Cannon here going off. This will do a good chunk of damage. Isn't enough to knock out that Grimmsnarl actually. So that Grimmsnarl is still hanging on. The Duraludon is barely hanging on. That Tapu Fini did so much work.
Yeah, a lot of information was revealed in game 1. So Mark thought probably, okay, your Duraludon is not AV because I saw the weakness policy, and Duraludon is a Pokemon that has very little special defense. So I might as well just try to get rid of it immediately before you start doing things with it, like probably fake tears from Grimmsnarl and a combination. He wanted to have that increased bulk in Tapu Fini from the Dynamax, and at the same time having more power to get rid of the Duraludon. And we do see he just picked up the kill on the Grimmsnarl with a critical hit though. I don't know if that matters or not, but the only truth here is that Grimmsnarl is gone.
Yeah, the light screen from the opposing Grimmsnarl did go up as well. Duraludon going for the Flash Cannon, finally getting rid of that Grimmsnarl, but not before it was able to set up a pretty important light screen to protect its partner Pokemon, this Tapu Fini here. Definitely tough, though, because this Duraludon is on 3 HP. If this was his original Dynamax plan, you know, he's probably going to have to change it on the fly, see what maybe he can do with the Pokemon that he's brought with him. Urshifu coming out here, though, against on MasterMark's side, while Suicune coming out here for Philip, for that's a +1. So that Suicune, like we saw last game, we know it was running Scald. We know that it was probably trying to get some burns out here. We can see even from the Duraludon here that it's probably just going to try and get as much damage off this turn as it can. Depends on if it even can get through it. I know that Wicked Blow here from Urshifu might even just knock it out, no problem.
Yeah, Urshifu is the fastest thing on the field right now, and we also know that Tapu Fini is faster than Duraludon, so you can just safely target that slot. I'm curious of what the Suicune is trying to do. He doesn't even attack the Duraludon. He thinks that Duraludon is not a problem anymore. He just wants to get rid of the Suicune before Suicune starts doing things. We know Suicune has access to things like Tailwind, Icy Wind Snarl, or just Scald trying to get some damage. And we do see the Scald on the Suicune going into that Urshifu slot, which is taking very little damage. That's actually surprising because Urshifu is not that bulky on the special side. The Duraludon is doing a little bit more. It's trying its best, but it's not enough to pick up the kill on that Duraludon.
Yeah, not enough to pick up the KO nearly at all. The Tapu Fini finishes up its Dynamax, though, so it is going to come back down to normal. Definitely interesting to see that they didn't attack that Duraludon, because that Duraludon can still get some super effective hits off onto that Tapu Fini. Probably tough, though, trying to see what that Urshifu could maybe get done. It's only got Wicked Blow, which we saw it was faster than both of the opponent's Pokemon, but you know, if it had a focus sash that's well beyond broken now, it could probably only take one more hit.
Yep, and we know that Wicked Blow is always doing a lot of damage into Suicune. You can just attack the Suicune. You don't have to care that much about the Duraludon. Duraludon is like almost gonna go down. And we see the survivor. 1 HP. We see the Muddy Water is missing into something. It's missing into Duraludon though, so Duraludon is gonna get a last attack before like probably going down the next turn, and it's hanging on with 3 HP for like what, like 3 turns for now.
For long enough, that Duraludon is not giving up. He is able to get that Flash Cannon off as well, which is huge into that Urshifu, is enough to knock it out. So that Muddy Water miss being huge. Either one of those Pokemon, you know, it really needed a double knockout there. To prevent any damage going off on his side. Porygon 2 coming out for Mark here, and then for Philip here, Dragapult taking the place of that Suicune.
Yep, and as I said, we know that Porygon is a really tough Pokemon to deal with this team. Like, you kind of have to go for Max Phantasm into Fini. There's nothing you can, for now at least, do to the Porygon because Misty Terrain is up, so it is immune to Max Phantasm. It is also a Pokemon that takes no... very little damage from Max or Wormwind Wide. The Misty Terrain is there, so you can just go for the Tapu Fini. You have your Dynamax though, so you still have 3 turns to do as much damage as possible. And Duraludon can also attack if he wants. You also know that Fini is faster than your Duraludon, but you're faster than Fini with Dragapult. So let's see what he does. The only truth is that Dragapult is now Dynamaxing, and I would imagine it's going into the Tapu Fini.
Yeah, I definitely think that dive reveal last game definitely showed that this was a Dragapult that wants to be Dynamaxed if it, you know, if the situation arises. So I think saving that full health Dragapult in the back is really huge here for Philip. Dragapult going for that Max Phantasm into Tapu Fini, like you said, getting that damage off into Fini, a massive amount, while still lowering the defense of that very bulky Porygon 2. Duraludon here is going to go slower though, so we'll see if it goes for that Duraludon, tries to knock it out before it can get any knockouts. Moonblast here should go into that Duraludon, and that is finally done after 3 or 4 turns of grasping at the ledge there before taking that knockout. Porygon going for the Trick Room though, which is very interesting, so that Dragapult's speed actually hindering it now.
Yep. We do see that Tapu Fini is bulky enough to survive 1 Max Phantasm, and now putting the speed on his side of the field, like having control with the Trick Room, he can just like probably protect the Tapu Fini to gain an extra turn and try to Ice Beam the Dragapult to start chipping it. Dragapult is not as bulky. No, we don't see the protect. I think he's just going to attack with Moonblast. Probably that's enough. Both options were like fine. And yeah, that's enough. Dragapult is not unable to survive that combination of attacks. And it's just going back to its Pokeball. Tapu Fini and Porygon takes the win now.
Yeah, so that means that MasterMark VGC is moving on to the second round, while THATSAplusONE is actually out in the first round. So every single game we've seen has only gone game 3s here. I definitely think this one was the closest of the 3 matches that we've seen so far, of especially those end games, a lot more mind games. That Porygon 2 really putting in that strong end game work, as we've seen though, being extremely bulky.
Yeah, Porygon is a really bulky mon. Like with Eviolite, you can have a lot of different like moves. You can put like Air Impulse to control the board a little bit more for your team against special attackers. You can just go with like a combination of Ice Beam and Tri Attack. You can also go with like Thunderbolt sometimes, even though it's not that common anymore. It used to be common back in like Series 5, I think. But the Porygon being so bulky, controlling the board for the player, having Trick Room, having Recover, it's a really, really bulky mon when you don't have like a solid like physical attacker that knows any kind of like fighting type move. Close combat from an Urshifu or a body press like Relican, as we saw in the previous match, can also deal with it because body press uses the defense, which you increase with iron defense. Those are ways to deal with Porygon, but this time THATSA didn't have like one of those options, so he was struggling a lot against that Porygon. And Mark just understood that, and he wanted to save that for the end game as well. We go into the next round.
Yeah, this is with ElleBelleChan and Moxie boosted. Landorus, Nihilego, Glastrier, Dusclops, Rotom, and Tapu Fini for L, while Moxie is bringing Stack Attacka, Clefairy, Venusaur, Regieleki, Torkoal, and Komodo, which is interesting. So a Venusaur team with a Komodo. One of those teams that Venusaur, you either really love it or you really hate it.
I really hate it. Yeah,
it's either you really hate it or you play it, really, is what it is. So.
Yep, exactly. We do see double tricking option on each Pokemon's on each player's team. We do see a Dusclops, and we also see like the Venusaur Torkoal combination that you mentioned on the Moxie boosted team. We don't see Trick Room for now, at least in the lead. There's no Trick Room option unless it's Nihilego carrying it. But we do see the Como there. It's in front of your eyes, guys. Como is a Pokemon that we don't normally see on VGC Series 9 or 2021. And I'm really, really interested to see what this Como is going to do here.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that I'm very curious about. Definitely something that I tried to make work early in VGC 2021, and then I realized Dragapult was a much better option in pretty much every sense of the word here. Nihilego, though, an interesting choice along with Landorus. Nihilego definitely trying to get that work in against that opposing Venusaur, I'm assuming. They want to make sure they can get this Venusaur taken care of before it puts all of them to sleep. Komodo going back, though, if this is the Torkoal trying to boost that Venusaur speed, which it is, maybe trying to get off that Chlorophyll speed boost to get some sleep powders off early in this game.
Yeah, Venusaur is a Pokemon that, you know, can have disruptive moves like Sleep Powder or just being offensive with the combination of Earth Power or even Weather Bolt sometimes. We do see a Sleep Powder. Most Landers are holding Lumberry normally. Let's see if that's the case here or not. No, there's no.
And he did call that Protect too on the Nihilego. Very, very huge.
Yeah, we do see the Torkoal switching in, making the Venusaur faster than what it normally is, thanks to its Chlorophyll ability. As I said, Lumberry normally is an item that you put on Landers for this kind of situations, but some players also can just like decide to go Assault Vest or probably something like a Life Force sometimes, but that makes your matchup against Venusaur Torkoal slightly better because typing wise, Landers is actually really good against Venusaur Torkoal. It has max Airstream for the Venusaur to hit it super effectively. It has max Quick for the Torkoal, max Rock for you want to get rid of the Sun. But the problem is when you don't have a way to stop the sleep spam, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, so definitely not being able to take care of that Venusaur quickly. You know, getting that Protect off on the Nihilego, trying to stop that sleep pattern into that slot really just means that you get no damage off into that Venusaur, though. Life Orb and Charcoal, pretty standard items we see through Frisk on both of these Pokemon. The Dynamax here coming out, though, from Elle's side. So if Elle here is bringing out that Nihilego, which she is, getting that Nihilego up to Dynamax, making it a lot scarier, but will it get put to sleep this turn?
Yep, there is a Nihilego Dynamax. What if he just falls asleep? Then your Dynamax is going to be wasted. But no, he instead just decides to go for Earth Power. Nihilego is the one that is 4 times weak to ground, and as a Dynamax takes like 60%. We do see the max rock full. You have to imagine is going into the Torkoal. You have to get rid of it and at the same time get rid of the Sun. So Venusaur's Chlorophyll is not going to matter for the rest of the game anymore because that Torkoal is gone.
Yeah, and that Sandstorm coming up instead, so that is definitely going to make it a lot better. Having no sleep that turn, though, was very interesting because that sleep could have really changed the game here. But the Beast Boost coming out for Nihilego is going to be massive going forward, trying to rack those stats up. Definitely interesting to see what's happening.
Yeah, Nihilego is an Ultra Beast, so you increase your highest stat when you pick up a knockout, and the highest stat normally is a special attack. It is also increasing the special defense now with the Sandstorm being up, which is a rock type, and rock types get that increased special defense stage when the Sandstorm is up. So Nihilego is now +1 special attack because of the Beast Boost. It's +1 also special defense because of the Sandstorm. But we do see a Stakataka though, and Stakataka is a Pokemon that resists rock because it's steel, and it's also immune to poison. So Stakataka is basically chilling. It cannot be touched by that Nihilego. And the Sandstorm is also increasing Stakataka special defense. You can just pretty much go for a Trick Room if you want. We do see the Venusaur switching out for the Como though.
Yeah, that Stakataka, though, definitely trying to set up for a good wall position here. It is going to turn into a giant wall, Dynamax Stakataka here on this side. So that is going to be something that's going to be a real threat to take care of when you know that this thing can, it can get some boosts up. It can get really tough to handle, especially if you don't have something for it. That Nihilego and its Dynamax isn't going to be able to do that much damage, and that Dusclops won't really be doing much of anything. Max Rockfall here comes out, though. That is into the Komodo slot. That does well over half, which is actually some pretty good damage for a switch in. Komodo eating a berry here if this is citrus, which it should be. Gaining some health back, going back up over half, while Dusclops goes for a Will-O-Wisp into that Stakataka slot, getting a pretty important burn off.
Yep. Nice switching there, though, by the Como from Moxie boosted. Como resisting the rock type attacks because it's fighting. And we do see the Sakataka getting a knockout on the Nihilego. Nihilego, even with the burn help from Dusclops, has a really, really poor defense, physical defense stat, so is unable to take that attack from Sakataka. Como revealing the Citrus Berry, though, so I'm curious if this Como is actually a belly drum set, because Como can be sometimes special with the signature move, Clangering Scales. It can also boost its special, all his stats with that signature move, as well as attacking with the other one. And he can also be physical with belly drum, because its offenses are like kind of balanced. Like physical attack, I think it's like 110, special attack is like 100, or the other way around. But it can be belly drum. It has access to things like drain punch to recover even, and it's a mon that is so difficult to have on your team when you see fairies. But I don't think there's a fairy on this team, so Como, it's also a good pick here. And we do see that Landers is returning, but it can wake up now since it took already the first turn of guaranteed sleep.
Yeah, it could wake up now is the very operative word there is could. Komodo going back there, though, back to its trainer, sending out Venusaur again. Venusaur probably not going to be nearly as fast, but it is up against with two other very slow Pokemon in Dusclops and Stakataka. Will-O-Wisp here going into that Venusaur, which was the Komodo slot, so either way, still a pretty good burn, getting some chip damage off onto a Pokemon. That can be problematic. While Steel Spike comes out into that Landorus, who is asleep still. Landorus takes about a quarter of its HP away in that Steel Spike damage, while the defense of both the Venusaur and the Stakataka raise here. And a little bit of chip damage from that Sandstorm all the way.
Yeah, Stakataka being -1 because of the Landers intimidating it. Also being burned, which is technically like a -3 per se. It's not doing that much to the Landers. Dusclops trying to burn the Como, just like covering the case if that Como is actually physical. And trying to like burn it, but instead Moxie just realizing, you know what, I'm not gonna let you like burn my Como for free. I have a free switching because Venusaur doesn't care about burns since it's a special attacker, and Landers is unable to wake up. 3 turns of sleep for that Landers. He tried to put the Dusclops to sleep as well, but it misses because Sleep Powder is not 100% guaranteed, and we do see the Nightshade coming into the Venusaur now.
Yeah, so that Sleep Powder miss definitely huge. That Dusclops not trying to not take a nap right now, though. Does get that Nightshade off, that 50 HP damage right there. While the Steel Spike goes off for that third max attack here from Stakataka, boosting that defense a whole nother turn, trying to just get themselves as bulky as possible, even while taking this burn damage on both of their ends.
Yep, Stakataka, the wall is now like the Dynamax ends, so it's back to regular, but it managed to get like 3 defense boosts, I think, with 3 max Steel Spike. Landers, though, is guaranteed to wake up now. It can wake up because it already took 3 turns of sleep, so it can just go for an Earthquake. Stakataka is 4 times weak to it, but since it already got all those 3 physical defense boosts, it's probably going to take that attack really fine. And Landers instead is trying to go for a fly, and we see the Sleep Powder landing into the Dusclops.
Yeah, Landorus knowing that if it's faster than that Venusaur and it gets a wake up, Venusaur could just put it right back to sleep. So not taking that chance, going for a fly while the sleep goes off. Rock Slide gets avoided, obviously, by that Landorus. But that Dusclops takes a very small amount of chip damage, so it is asleep. Maybe trying to go for a flinch there on that Landorus, even if it's not doing too much damage. That burn coming down from Venusaur now, and the burn hitting Stakataka as well. Stakataka, though, barely touched. Its only damage is burn damage here. So definitely going to be interesting to see if the end game here with these with Stakataka is beatable.
Yeah, Dusclops can be a really like good Pokemon to have in this endgame, though. If it has something like a Pain Split, for example, to recover the health back, can be really, really difficult for a burn Stakataka to like do something into it, because Stakataka is a Pokemon that can have like Body Press, so it can like normally boost the defenses with Max Steel Spike and Body Press later, but you gotta Body Press against a Ghost type, so Dusclops can be really, really safe if that's the case. We do see the Como switching into the Venusaur slot and just like went down immediately back to its Pokeball, and Stakataka rebuilding that has Trick Room, putting now the speed into its side.
Yeah, so that Venusaur there was probably the target of a pretty strong fly. However, Komodo isn't going to want to take that one either. It does get that knockout. Venusaur switching back in, though. So then the Stakataka is Once it's Stack Attack and Venusaur both with burn, so that timer is set. That Dusclops, though, still asleep, should wake up pretty soon. That Venusaur can go for another sleep powder, though. Rock Slide here, so they're trying to fight through flinches, sleeps, and misses. All sorts of really tough stuff. Leaf Storm here actually gets the miss on the Dusclops. Landorus going for another fly, getting out of here, not trying to take a Leaf Storm. Dusclops wakes up, but it does flinch from that Rock Slide. Like I said, that is a lot of stuff going on, a lot to keep track of.
Yep. Venusaur, it's probably not trained in accuracy correctly. It's missing the sleep powders and the leaf storms, but it's trying its best at least. And Dusclops, you have to imagine the Nightshade was going into the Dusclops, into the Venusaur, sorry, to get rid of it immediately and get rid of that sleep powder pressure. Let's see if the Sakataka gets the flinch again. Nope, no flinch. Nightshade should go into the Venusaur. Yep. It is into the Venusaur, so now Dusclops, as I said, can be a really solid win condition in this endgame because, as we saw on the screen, it does have Pain Split apparently.
Yeah, but that fly damage into Sakataka was very, very small. So this is going to be tough here. You know, going for those Nightshades, those 50 damage at a time, and that Earthquake damage, which is going to affect his Dusclops as well. Thankfully, not having to worry about sleep, but if these Rock Slides keep going off in Trick Room and he keeps getting flinched, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, Dusclops is chilling here. Even if a Sakataka gets like 3, 4, 5 flinches in a row, I think Dusclops can just Pain Split. Instead of that, he's just going for damage. He still has one Pokemon in the back, though, I think, that we haven't seen. Lander is going for the Earthquake. I'm not sure if that's the case, though, but Sakataka, even with all the defenses... Oh, and we know that it's weakness policy, actually, on that Sakataka. It's not holding something like a Sugar Berry, but at that point, with the burn, you don't care that much because it's going down from the burn damage anyways. And that's the game here. Landers and Dusclops managed to win that game for L.
One game here, so that is definitely a tougher spot for him to be in. Definitely knowing that Stakataka is so defensively annoying but strong but very good, you know, is definitely still something that you have to be mindful of when you're making your adjustments for your next game. Elle definitely played her endgame out very well there, knowing exactly what she needed to get done.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of pressure here, though, for Moxie to try and get something that's really going to be able to handle that Dusclops.
Yeah, that Dusclops exactly was a huge component on Elle's plan because by spamming just those Will-O-Wisp against like the Sakataka and even pressuring the Como with that Will-O-Wisp, like covering if it's like a physical variant, which I think it might be the case because of the Citrus Berry, probably giving you a sneak peek of its set being like potentially belly drum with Drain Punch. Probably that's what I can imagine. And Dusclops trying its best, like putting that burn effect into the opponent. We also saw that it has Pain Split, although the opponent didn't even see it because he didn't reveal the Pain Split. And it can be a very good mon to have in an endgame. Dusclops is really bulky, similar to Porygon. Sometimes you can just win games by having the Dusclops in the right position in an endgame and recovering and spamming Nightshades or the Will-O-Wisp. And I'm curious to see, though, what is that Como going to do in this next game. I was so happy when I saw it, but unfortunately it didn't do much. Just it went down to its Pokeball.
Really does, besides tank some damage, which, you know, if you need to do that, you need to do that. But definitely hoping to see here. Let's see what Moxie's lead is, though. It is that Venusaur and Komodo again, so we could see that Komodo switch out into the Torkoal again turn 1, a similar lead there. Rotom Heat, though, and Dusclops here, so that should be really interesting to see how this goes forward, if this Rotom is going to try and capitalize on that Sun and get a really powerful fire type move off.
Yeah, Rotom Heat is a Pokemon that is really good against any Sun team because of its typing. And normally you have something like a safety goggles there just to be entirely safe against sleep spam and take advantage of your nice typing. You resist fire from Torkoal, you resist grass, and you can do super effective damage in return to the Venusaur. So I'm really liking that Rotom Heat. And there we go. There we see the belly drum coming out from the Como. As I was saying, Como putting all the way up to +6, immediately recovering some health with the Citrus Berry. Let's see if the Dusclops tries to like balance that out a little bit with a Will-O-Wisp or not.
Yeah, especially, oh, Sleep Powder, so it's not even going to get to try that Venusaur still going off first there. Trying maybe, Rotom going for a nasty plot here, so Rotom trying to boost its attack, but this is going to be really tough with this Komodo coming in with its attack fully maxed out and regaining some health from that Citrus Berry. So probably something that we're going to have to worry about, I think, going into the next turn. If that's his answer to Dusclops, is maybe a really powerful Dragon-type move at +6.
Yeah.
You know, if he has to get that off now before that Dusclops wakes up, before it can set Trick Room, and then even after that, you can maybe let your Torkoal come sweep. But we'll have to see. I can assume a Rotom Dynamax this turn, though, is kind of what I'm thinking.
One good thing about Como, though, is it's a dragon type, so it's actually able to resist both electric and fire from Rotom. So, and it does have a really, really nice special defense stat. Like, Como has a decent bulk. It's like a pseudo legendary, and it's +6 now. So it's set up. Rotom decides to protect. Let's see. I suppose he's gonna go for the Dusclops. No, instead he goes for the Drain Punch. Dusclops can wake up now and try to go for a Will-O-Wisp, but no, it still keeps the sleep now. And Como revealing the Drain Punch, as I was saying, speculating a little bit. It said when I saw the Citrus Berry. And now let's see what happens. Torkoal is here preparing for the Trick Room that probably its opponent wants to go with the Dusclops, just covering that option as well. Moxie boosted here.
Yeah, and this Komodo is really looking really intimidating right now, especially if this Dusclops doesn't wake up this turn and it takes its third turn of sleep. That's going to be really tough, and it would set up for a really, really strong Venusaur endgame there.
Yeah, Dynamax.
We do see the Dynamax, so if this is a Dynamax Komodo...
Oh, please.
That would be incredible. That would be awesome. It is. So Dynamax Komodo, after a Belly Drum and Citrus Boost, this is an absolute monster of a Dynamax for a Pokemon that we don't see in this meta very often. So this is absolutely... I'm thrilled right now.
Yeah, you have to imagine is going to the Dusclops. You don't need the Dynamax for the Rotom. Max Warrior a +6. Ooh, that's a clean one-hit KO into the Dusclops. +6 Como. It doesn't take that much damage from Rotom because it's a Dragon type, as I was saying. It resists Electric. Rotom instead going for a Thunderbolt into the Torkoal. It doesn't matter. The Como would set up. And now, what is your answer to Como?
Yeah, Sun is set up. Como is fast. Rotom only has a nasty plot up. Komodo just made Dusclops, like getting knocked out, look very easy, when most of the time you know that is a several-step process. Landorus coming in here, Venusaur coming in on the opposite side. Venusaur going to be really enjoying this sunshine that's out right now. The Intimidate going off into both of these Pokemon, but I still think at a +5, Komodo looks pretty sketchy to fight against. Definitely something that I think... God, this is going to be crazy. Elle's going to really have to play careful around this massive Komodo.
Yep, and you, as Moxie boosted, you have the speed advantage now. You can just like go for a Sleep Powder into the Landers. Actually, we do see Soul Sense there, and we also know there's a Salvez, so probably that was a mistake. Probably he forgot to change the Salvez or something. Yeah, Soul Sense with a Salvez. Oh, I don't know. Probably he wants to have that if like someone gets a knockoff into the Landers. But you know the Landers cannot protect. Instead, he goes for the Sludge Bomb. He doesn't go for a Sleep Powder.
He does get the poison.
Gets the poison. Como is faster than Rotom. We already know that because Como went first the previous turn. Let's see if he goes for the Landers or if he just decides to go for the Rotom.
You gotta wonder if that poison is actually really going against Moxie now. Overheat here going into the Rotom, though. From the Rotom into the Venusaur. Gonna knock that out very easily. So now that Venusaur, even though it got a poison off, wasn't able to get any sleep off, wasn't able to take that Landorus a little bit out of the running. While that Landorus has flown up into the air to do some damage on its next turn. We saw how much a Fly did to Komodo in the last game. Stakataka coming in, though. Stakataka looking very, very threatening in front of this Komodo, you know, even if it's a much smaller wall in front of a much bigger dragon.
Yeah, I guess Moxie didn't want to risk the Sleep Powder because you could have just Sleep Powder the Landers, know that it doesn't have a Lumberry, and just kill the Rotom with like Max Win-Win or something, dropping the Landers attacking in the meantime. But no, instead he decided to double into the Landers, probably expecting the Landers to max and going for something like a Max Airstream into the Como, trying to get rid of it, and he wanted to prioritize that. But instead, he decided to go for a Fly just to get some like avoiding into that Max move going to that slot. And we do see a Rotom Dynamax in here trying its best to keep that pressure. The fly going to the combo, doing a lot of damage actually. And let's see what this combo is gonna go for. It's gonna go for a max knuckle, I suppose, into the Rotom. No, into the Landers actually. Rotom did get an overheat the previous turn, so it's not +2 anymore. It's back to neutral, but the sun is up, so that can mean a lot of damage also.
Yeah, the attack does raise though for Kamo, putting it back at, I believe, regular +6, +6. While that max flare goes into the stack attacker, which is not going to love taking this. It gets it all the way down, almost to getting knocked out. Rock Slide though takes that Rotom to half in its Dynamax form. It's going to eat its berry and gain a little bit of HP back. Gets it back up over half, but now it is Rotom and the last Pokemon on this team, which we will be seeing is this Glastrier, which we haven't even looked at yet today.
Yeah, and Como is like really low health now, but we know it has Drain Punch and it's +6 attack, so you can just Drain Punch and recover all the health basically. But this is a slightly of a mind game because the Rotom would be the target in my opinion, but you can just max guard the Rotom, or you can predict that if you're Moxie boosted and attack the Glacier, but Glacier can also protect. So let's see what he decides to go for. The truth is he has the fastest Pokemon. There's a Drain Punch coming into the Glacier, no protect coming from the Glacier. That means Como is gonna go back probably to full health since Glacier has a lot of HP. And yeah, that's almost full health, and that's probably a sweep now.
That is... What a turn one setup with this Kamo. It has been non-stop since then. Max Flare going out into the stack attacker will finish it off, but that still leaves this Kamo at +6 with some moves that I'm sure will be able to do a lot of damage here onto a Rotom. And this Rotom doesn't have a whole lot of time left, and the sun is down. So those Max Flares are not going to be as strong this turn until he sets the sun up again.
Yep, Kamo can just freely click Drain Punch. That's going to definitely one-shot the Rotom. There's no way the Rotom one-shots the Como in case somehow it manages to survive. Nope, we see the Drain Punch getting that clean knockout into the Rotom, going back to its Pokeball. And Como, it's going to make the set tie now 1-1 into each of these players. Moxie boosted 1 and we're going into game 3. And let's see what happens now with that Como team.
God, I really want to see Kamo again because that was so fun. You watch games like that, and those games are fun to watch. They're fun for us to commentate. Definitely very interesting to see, you know, a Kamo coming in at +6. This has been absolutely insane, and we're finally hitting our first game 3. We've had some very, very fast offensive matches in the beginning of the day, and after this momentum change of a game 2 into a game 3, Elle's really going to have to prep for how do I handle this how do I handle this Kamo, you know, at +6? Like, what am I going to do? Is there going to have to be some sort of work on my part to get that out of the way?
Yeah, I think the Landers is probably one of the only ways he has to actually do like a lot of damage to that Como, because Landers is a flying type. Of course, you do have the max airstream option. The problem is that the Venusaur is threatening the Sleep Powder, so you can just like be put to sleep immediately, and that can open the door for the Como to get a belly drum immediately. And if you are like unlucky with sleep turns, you can stay asleep for 2 or 3 turns. And probably that Landers is dying. That's the main issue. It doesn't have the Lumberry. I think that's probably a mistake, and he intended to have the Lumberry because I do see the Sword Sense on its set, but instead he has the Solvest. But we do see Dusclops and Nihilego. Dusclops is another way to deal with that Como if you manage to burn it, but you also have to be aware of that Sleep Powder potential from the Venusaur, which we do see in Moxie Boost's lead this time around.
Yeah, the Nihilego was big in game 1, definitely helped. I think that was, you know, her big change that she made. But the really common Venucle lead here, no swap out, maybe keeping that Kamo in the back, maybe not bringing it at all, trying to fake you out into bringing something for it. Could be a really interesting play here. This Dusclops, though, is still being very, very tough to deal with as on the opposing side, you know, if you're trying to get this Trick Room up, but... We'll see. We'll see who tries to get sleeped first. Actually,
there's
no
this
sleep.
Earth Power.
Earth Power this turn into the Nihilego. That's a one-hit KO. That is a one-hit KO onto that Nihilego, which didn't Dynamax. So that Nihilego wasn't able to do anything in this game. Nightshade here from the Dusclops going into the Torkoal, going to do 50 HP of damage just because of the way Nightshade works with Eruption. So that's going to do a little bit less with Eruption, but still plenty to take a Dusclops down to half. And it cannot take another one of those.
Yeah, Nihiligo didn't do anything. You can't imagine, I suppose, from L's perspective, that Moxie Boosted was probably going to go for a Sleep Powder into the Venusaur. He tried to take advantage of that and going for like a Meteor Beam, I guess, into the Torkoal. Instead, Nihiligo, even with its massive special defense, base special defense stat, it has like 100 and something special defense, and it's a really, really bulky Pokemon on the special side, is not able to survive that Earth Power from a Life Orb Venusaur. And I like that play from Moxie. Venusaur had the commanding position there. He was just able to do whatever he wanted, like Sleep Powder, Air Power. Dusclops was unable to put any pressure at all on the Venusaur, just Nightshade chipping it away, but it doesn't matter. Venusaur took the opportunity. He saw the opportunity. He probably thought, okay, I might as well just take it. If you don't protect, I'm getting rid of your Nihiligo immediately. We do see Glacier now, though, and Glacier is a really, really scary Pokemon to face when you're a Venusaur user. But the good thing is that you do have that Sleep Powder option. You are faster, and if Glacier is not holding a Lum Berry, you can just put it to sleep immediately if you connect.
Yeah, that Glacier getting that Dynamax up, probably hoping to get that Trick Room from Dusclops this turn, as Glacier is one of the slowest Pokemon in the meta. It moves pretty slow. Venusaur here getting that Sleep Powder off onto the Dusclops, so if it was going for a Trick Room, there won't be any Trick Rooms this turn, and that means that this Dusclops could be pretty free to take another Eruption maybe from this Torkoal if it goes for it. Max Quake coming out from Glacier here, this would be going into that Torkoal slot, and it is enough to knock it out, so no Eruption, so that Dusclops will be able to live, maybe wake up the next turn, maybe get a Trick Room off, but that Venusaur, definitely still you have to respect it.
Yep, Venusaur is still there. It's pretty healthy. It's able to just keep spamming the Sleep Powder, though. But a Sleep Powder is a really, really disruptive move. Very controversial sometimes within the community. We do see a Clefairy this time around, and Venusaur can just probably go for a Sleep Powder, follow me, trying to put that Glacier to sleep, but you do need some offense if you want to get rid of the Glacier. Sleep Powder is not enough, because at some point, if you don't have enough pressure, Glacier is just going to wake up and do a lot of damage. Let's see what Moxie Boosted is going to go for this time around.
Clefairy's actually coming right back. So Clefairy came out maybe to bait some attacks. Stack Attack it going right in its place, though. So definitely bulk in the back there. Sleep Powder into this Glacier. Not going to be able to utilize this Dynamax turn. There's definitely something that this Glacier is going to have to... it's going to have to wake up. It's going to have to get this damage off. Pain Split, though, from the Dusclops, that does wake up, so it does get some HP back. Glacier takes a nap.
Yep. First turn of sleep guaranteed for the Glacier. We do see the Sleep Powder landing into it, not missing this time around. And there is a Sakataka, and the Sakataka is a really, really bulky mon. It's a Steel type that can do some damage into the Glacier. But the Dusclops managed to wake up, so you can probably just play Sleep Powder button again into the Dusclops. Instead, nope, we do see a switch out. Clefairy going into that Venusaur slot, providing that a Friend Guard ability to increase that bulk from the Sakataka, and we do see a Dynamax from the Sakataka. We know that Will-O-Wisp can be used here into the Sakataka, so that's a very risky play. If the Dusclops goes for the Will-O-Wisp in the Sakataka, that's going to decrease the power in a very, very, very difficult way for Moxie Boosted to overcome that later. But let's see what he does. We do see the Will-O-Wisp though, and it connects.
Yeah, that Will-O-Wisp into the Sakataka from Dusclops. All of these Pokemon here are not really hating Trick Room. They're already kind of all in their slow speed, but they don't need to set it either. Max Hailstorm into the Clefairy almost knocks it out, but it should set that Hail, which should be able to maybe take this Clefairy out at the end of it. Didn't see a Follow Me or anything from Clefairy, though. Max Steel Spike from the Sakataka going into the Glacier does a little bit of damage, maybe about a quarter of its Dynamax health. Still not too much to worry about there. While the defense raised is going to be something that they're going to have to mitigate. Ella's going to have to mitigate on her side, making sure that she doesn't let it go too far. Weakness policy, though, on the Glastrier is going to go activate because of that Steel Spike. So now it's not even going to worry a little bit too much about those defense boosts, because now you're really boosted, even if you're not able to bulldoze yourself.
You are boosted against Moxie Boosted with this Glacier. And yeah, Clefairy wasn't able to click Follow Me because it was just a switch in there. It took like 90% upon switching, and it died from the Hail residual damage. Venusaur comes back to the game. I guess all you can do here is Sleep Powder, but you can only Sleep Powder one. You cannot Sleep Powder both. Its Sakataka is Dynamax, yes. You have 2 more turns of Dynamax, but you're burned, and that's the problem. So Sakataka is not going to do that much damage. I guess all you have to hope here as a the Moxie boosted is like Sleep Powder into the Glacier because Glacier is the threat, or probably just trying to read the Protect and Sleep Powder the Dusclops and probably get a critical hit with Max Steel Spike into the Glacier because by being burned, you're not even going to pick up the knockout there. Let's see what it does though.
Yeah, Glacier does get that Protect off though, like you said, so it won't be taking any sleep damage, and you have to hope that the read does go into the Protect. So they made the read, it was incorrect. Sleep Powdered into the protected Glacier. Nightshade going off, taking that 50 HP off of Venusaur's health, bringing it down under half while that Max Steel Spike comes out into that protected Glacier slot. It does very little through that Protect and with that burn.
Yep, no much damage there. Stack Attack is trying his best, but how do you deal with the Dusclops now? Stack Attack, a burn, cannot use Body Press like against Dusclops in case he has that move. You would have to imagine it's part of the moveset on that Stack Attack. Normally you go for like Max Steel Spikes, boost your defense. You can pick up a knockout here and there, and it's another defense boost, and then you can use like +2, 3, 4 body presses. But you cannot do that against the Dusclops, and by being burned, you're also not able to do any damage, and he can just like pain split. So it's a really rough spot to be here for Moxie boosted. He didn't bring the Como this time around. Glacier is just like chilling, like sweeping everything here. And now it just lands a Sleep Powder into the Dusclops, but the Glacier is just probably going to finish it off here, that Venusaur or Stack Attack.
Yeah, and I mean, not having any answer for the Dusclops here, I mean, you can maybe put it to sleep, but it's not gonna, as long as you can get rid of this Venusaur here and make sure it doesn't get off anything like a Sludge Bomb, just anything that could maybe even poison that Dusclops and get some residual damage on it, which it won't happen now because of that Ice Skull Crash, able to knock that Venusaur out, so now it is Stack Attack. Glacier getting that Chilling Neigh attack boost, though, definitely gonna help now, while that Max Steel Spike, with that burn, we'll see if it knocks out the Glacier here. And it does not, so that burn is going to be absolutely huge.
Yep, Glacier is chilling here. I think it's like it's actually like Chilling Neigh. It's like +4, +5. He doesn't care about anything here. He managed to get the weakness policy activated. He has picked up like 2 or 3 knockouts, so it's also like +2 or +3 on top of that weakness policy boost. It's like literally just clicking buttons here. You're faster than the Stack Attack, so I do like that Dusclops didn't go for a trick from the previous turn. Instead, he just went for a Nightshade, doing some damage on the Venusaur, because you know that when that Venusaur is not on the field anymore, Glacier is going to outspeed Stack Attack, so no reason to go for a Trick Room. And we do see that Dusclops manages to wake up, high horsepower into the Stack Attack. That should be a knockout.
That is it. So that means that Elle moves on after playing her endgame incredibly smart after dealing with that Belly Drum Komodo in game 2. So that means Elle is the last of our 4 players moving into our semifinals. So for breaking it down for you guys, that'll be CJ versus Elle and Azul versus Mark. So that is going to be really interesting to be watching later. I do want to say, though, I really wish we saw more of that Komodo.
Yeah, that Como in game 2 was like so exciting to watch. Like Como being a dragon that a lot of people tend to, just like not like because of its 4 times weakness to fairy types, and you're not even like, you can have like a poison jab or something to touch them, but like there are a lot of fairies in the game, in the format, like Tapu Fini, for example. Grimmsnarr is everywhere. Togekiss is also increasing a lot lately. You do have to also like respect things like Clefairy sometimes, and some teams having Moonblast for Urshifu. And the fact that Urshifu is so common in the format makes like a lot of fairies also like able to check it. And at the same time, you are checking Como because they do share the same 4 times weakness like with Urshifu Dark. And yeah, but Como managed to get that sweep on game 2. He got the Belladrum. He even Dynamax, giving us a good show there, showing how strong it can be when there's no fairies showing up and he can just chill.
Yeah, definitely a really good showing on adjustments, though, for Elle there. Even though bringing that Nihilego in game 3 barely got used, it definitely was something that she brought to both games that she won. Those end games, though, were still played very smart by her. Definitely a lot to deal with. Knowing that Venusaur is the only thing that can touch your Dusclops and keeping that Dusclops in the way so that Stack Attack can't hit it is absolutely huge. And those Nightshade damage just really adds up.
Exactly. I think like for Moxie boosted's perspective, he wanted to like have the Sleep Powder on the Dusclops. And one thing about Venusaur, you did see that Venusaur was holding a Life Orb. So you have to imagine it is offensive, right? So when you have a Venusaur with Life Orb, you would have to imagine also that you kind of want to Dynamax it. But the fact that a Sleep Powder was your only way to stop Dusclops, like forcing him to not Dynamax, to be able to click a Sleep Powder in the first place. And by not Dynamaxing Venusaur, you are not able to get those like bind lashes off, like really powerful, and the residual damage. So that's one of the things, like I feel that like was something that he like probably had as the only answers, I would say, into Dusclops, that probably forced him to not use the Venusaur to its full potential, having to Dynamax a stack attack at that, you know, that against the Dusclops is not going to do that much, especially because he knew that the Dusclops had Will-O-Wisp. So ideally, the Dynamax option probably would have been better to beat the Venusaur, but as I said, he felt the pressure of having to click Sleep Powder to like slow down the game a little bit and to have that Dusclops under control for a moment, although he just woke up immediately in this game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So that has been 4 awesome sets that we've seen so far today. It has been an absolute pleasure casting. I did want to thank everybody for tuning in to day 1 of the Creators Cup, which has been hosted by Genesis Gaming. I want you guys to make sure you catch the semifinals tomorrow, same time, same channel, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. GMT, at Truro.live/GusBus with 2 S's at the end, GUSBUSS. And we'll be having our semifinals and finals tomorrow. And just to let you guys know, just a reminder, it'll be Pokemon VeteranCJ, ElleBelleChan, and Azulite Pokemon and MasterMark VGC will be those 2 pairings. And I did want to thank our sponsors for this event, Own3D.tv, Matcherino, Stream Heroes, and of course Trovo, which has been letting us stream on this platform. So I want to thank you guys again. It's been an absolute pleasure casting with Paul, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Hope that you enjoyed the show, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow. See you.